I'm Jose Antonio Navarro. Well, I'm George Washington. People know me more than they know you. Oh, no, they don't know you. Lots of people know about me. Haven't you heard of Navarro County? No, nobody outside Texas knows about that. We're still trying to understand who you are. I'm George Washington. Everybody knows me, and you can find a lot more user-friendly information about me on the internet than you can about you. I beg to differ. I'm so sorry. You just caught me. Here's the deal, y'all. This is truly how us social studies coordinators spend our time. I know sometimes you think, oh, they're busy working away at their desk. Really? I just like to play act between the characters that are in the teaks. No, on a serious note, welcome. We are happy to have you here today. Welcome to August 21st. Today, this is all about Tier 1 instruction. And we're excited about this because there are many things that I'm bringing to you for the first time today. And I think you're going to find that everything you see is very user-friendly. I'm actually thrilled about getting the chance to share this with you. In addition to that, I have some great news. All of your clarifying documents, scope and sequence documents, resource documents, everything you need on Eduphoria is already in Eduphoria. Can we get a hallelujah, people? This is exciting. I know that last year a lot of people were planning for learning, and it made it more difficult when they were waiting to see when the clarifiers would come up. But this summer, we've been working hard, and we have that ready to go for you. I want to tell you, on a personal note, I love teachers. And one of the reasons I love you all is that I am the parent of a recently graduated kindergarten student. My daughter just completed kindergarten here in Birdville ISD last year. And let me tell you, the work that you do is tremendous. You start these kids off the right way. You teach them what education is. You teach them about love of learning. You take care of them. You're their mom. I have to say, there was one time this year where I forgot to fill my kid's lunch account. And if it wasn't for her kindergarten teacher giving her that snack, I don't know what I would have done. But what I know is that you are more than just a teacher. You truly take care of these babies when they come into school, and you help lead them down the right path. I feel lucky and blessed to work with each one of you. I hope you see that today is a helpful day, that it's informative, and I want you to remember that if you need anything, please just let me know. I am here for you at all times. Through email, through phone calls, I will get back to you. I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but my name is April Shirelli, but it doesn't sound like the way it's spelled. So let me give you my trick to remember me. It's Shirelli. It's like a chia pet, C-H-I-A, and then you just add Relli at the end, R-E-L-L-I. But the chia pet is really the piece that makes a difference. And frankly, I'm feeling kind of bad for y'all because between April Shirelli and Brenda Swarzynski, I know that you'll have lots of names to learn this year and to make sure you spell correctly. But if you start with a chia, you'll find me. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for all you do. I'm excited about this school year. Welcome to 2013-2014, and please let me know if there's anything else I can do. Welcome, 4th and 5th grade teachers, to Enhancing Tier 1 Instruction. Today we'll be talking about Tier 1 instruction. Tier 1 is where your core instruction takes place. In order to achieve our goal of having 75 to 80% of students achieving mastery at a Tier 1 level, we as educators have to provide our students with strong instruction based on the Planning for Learning model. As a content coordinator, it is my job to provide you with a curriculum that helps you do that. I hope you see in today's training that I have worked to create a system that is easy to use and provides you with the things you need to do what you do best. Foster the love of learning in each one of our students by creating an environment that is rigorous and loving at the same time. So let's talk about what kind of teacher we want to be.
Persons of the week. What is more important than exciting young minds, making kids want to be smarter? Deborah Roberts tells us about an expert who thinks he cracked the code of what makes a great teacher. And tonight, some of those teachers show us what a day with them can be.
Boys and girls, the secret is that this is not an ordinary classroom.
If this seems more secret clubhouse than third grade reading class, you just made teacher Justin Melly's day.
What's the smart student attitude?
Work hard, get smart.
Excitement's part of the lesson in his Houston classroom.
Legendary.
The same is true in Mariel Elguero's fifth grade class in Newark, New Jersey.
Sometimes my little sister likes to imitate me.
Today, the kids are grasping the word imitate. With their creative teaching styles, both Elguero and Melly have seen their students leap 2, even 3 grade levels in a single year.
These teachers, every time we see these great results, they're setting ambitious goals based on high expectations for their students.
Okay, who can tell me what rhyme is?
Stephen Farr, who recruits and trains top-notch college grads for Teach for America, spent 10 years visiting classrooms all over the country, trying to unravel the mystery of what makes a great teacher.
Can you tell me examples of how she makes it fun?
What he found, and is now sharing in a new book, is that superstar teachers need not have outgoing personalities or master's degrees or loads of teaching experience, but they do share a few things in common.
You guys still need tons of help figuring out words that you get stuck on. If you agree, you can show me with your thumb.
Great teachers make certain every student's keeping up.
One of the things that I do here are a lot of checks for understanding that are super visual.
Show me with your thumbs.
You can see who's really getting it and who isn't.
Today we're going to figure out a bunch of ways, some new ways to figure out words that we don't know.
Amazing teachers aren't afraid to change their lesson plans.
If I'm teaching something and it's just not flying, then I say to them, my mistake. This isn't working. Let's regroup. Let's try something else.
So you do that in front of
Yeah.
the kids?
Oh, they're fine with that. They're used to that.
But this may be the most important discovery of all.
We are all going to get so much smarter.
Great teachers set high goals, as 11-year-old Brianna Randolph has learned from Miss Elguero. Brianna, what was your reading level when you got here?
It was hard for me to read because I didn't understand the chapter books.
Her mom, Denise, is now amazed at the difference.
When she got here, we learned that Brianna was 2 levels behind. And today, Brianna is actually almost 2.5 levels above what she was when she came in.
And it's only February.
And so we choose Justin Melly and Mariel Elguero on behalf of all the great teachers who made us believe in ourselves and think of learning as absolute joy. So thanks.
Please take a moment to talk to your shoulder partner about what you heard on the video. Facilitator, you'll want to pause the video at this time. And teachers, you have 1 minute and 18 seconds. Go. Okay, I like this video because it's really about what we are talking about today. First, make certain that every child is keeping up. The Making Thinking Visible strategies you're learning about today are all ways for you to check for understanding and make sure kids are keeping up. This is something we have to do in Tier 1 instruction in order to do the second thing on the list, which is to readjust based on the needs of your students. You are going to hear this several times today, but in Birdville, we understand that teaching is an art form and that you need to be able to change instruction based on what is or is not working for your students. This is a key piece to successful Tier 1 instruction. In addition to this, we all set high goals. I know that you want for the students in your classes, what you want for the students in your classes is the same thing you want for every loved one in your life, to achieve success. The problem is, your kids come in at different levels and with different needs. What we have to do is take those challenges and still continue to have the high goals for each and every child in Birdville. I believe in success for all. When I say all children can succeed, I'm speaking from a personal place. I know that many of you don't know me, but I'm the child of very young parents, and it was the first person in my family to graduate college. My story is not unique, but I know that if I didn't have people who believed no matter where we lived or how young my parents were, that I could achieve, I would have never ended up here. My parents had a huge part to play in this, of course. They believed in us and wanted better for us. But I also had great teachers and adults in my life who wanted the same things for me as well. My parents actually said they found themselves at a loss once my sister and I graduated college. Their whole goal in life had been to give us the things they hadn't had. And on the trip home from my sister's graduation, they looked at each other and said, "Now what?" I believe that every parent who walks in the door on August 26th wants what's best for their child. And it is our job to make that dream a reality. So let's start by debunking some myths. I want to explain to you the expectations that I have for your social studies classroom. Lots of times I hear people say, "Oh, I heard April wants this," or "I heard the district wants this." And let me just say, gossip, as usual, was 1/3 right and 2/3 wrong. First off, I want you to know I am not a pirate. I want to be clear. It is not my job to hijack the curriculum from you. Instead, I'm here to make your job easier. Just like in the video, if something isn't working, I want you to tell me. I'm only as good as the feedback I receive, and I hope you will help me make the social studies curriculum continuously improve by talking about it. In addition to that, I do not want you to remain trapped behind a door or fit in a box. You are the best at what you do. Please take our ideas, but you have to make it your own. It is my hope you will add to whatever resources we have, and that you will find a way to make the content relevant and rigorous for your students. So where do we start? Let me first say that this is the year backwards design and planning for learning becomes a reality. I'm happy to say that you have all of these things loaded in Eduphoria and waiting for you. This year, for the entire year, you already have unit overviews, clarifying documents, and suggested pacing guides. I know that last year was difficult because you were waiting on these documents, and sometimes we only had them 2 weeks ahead of when you needed them. But that is not the case this year. This is a new year. And I can tell you, these things are loaded. I know I'm not there right now with you, but I can already feel your collective sigh of relief about this. So let's talk. What would you use to plan for learning? First, you want to look at your scope and sequence. A great tools for that would be the unit overview and the suggested pacing guide. Then you're going to examine the TEKS. The best place for you to examine the TEKS are the clarifying documents that are loaded in Eduphoria. And then as you plan instruction, you should review the Eduphoria resources that we have available to see what would best meet the needs of your students. So I know your next question is, where is this pacing guide located? This is a screenshot of Forethought in the Scope and Sequence tab. When you are in the teacher view, all of this will come up on the right-hand side. But I wanted to use this to show you how it looks in a larger setting. This arrow is where you pick, over here, Unit Overview under Unit Documents. And then look down, and these are called gears. And this gear, when you click on it, will give you a suggested pacing guide. Here is an example of a pacing guide. Now let's take a moment and talk about this. This is a suggested pacing guide. That means that once again, you have to be one of the great teachers who looks at the needs of your students and is ready to adjust. While it is essential that you teach the TEKS in the required 6 weeks, you need to move at the pace that is right for your students. Remember, this is not about fitting you in a box. It's about giving you some help as you plan. I hope you will glance at this, but if you have any suggestions or questions, I hope you'll let me know. Here on this page, you will see an example of our clarifying documents. This is what you will review as you plan for learning. Here is an important note for you 4th and 5th grade teachers. I build the district CBA documents directly from the clarifiers. And remember that you will have blueprints for the CBAs ahead of time. What that means is I would make sure you reviewed the information from the clarifiers with the students prior to giving the CBAs. This is not a gotcha, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to do well on the social studies CBAs. So if you use this information, I think you'll find that your students will do much better than you were thinking about. Now on to resources. Last year, I was able to purchase one set of 4th grade primary source readers per campus. 5th grade already had one set of primary source readers per campus. But this year, I have increased that amount, and we are currently in the process of purchasing one of everything you have for every 2 teachers in your grade level. That means if you have 3 5th grade teachers, you will now have 2 sets of kits. Now, if you're in 4th grade, you might be thinking, wait a minute, I have no idea what you're talking about. These came at the end of last year, so you may not have seen them yet, but they are on your campus. Please talk to your assistant principals when you get back there. In addition to this, please remember the extra kits are being purchased. As soon as they are delivered, we will bring them to you. My hope is that these will help us as we work to integrate social studies with ELAR. 4th and 5th grade, you actually already have a correlation chart created for your units in Eduphoria. This is a screenshot of what it will look like. It will line up the unit to the primary source reader. I have one already loaded in Eduphoria for 4th grade as well as for 5th grade. You will find these documents in the area titled District Instructional Resources, which is right here. And then if you look down to the gears here, you'll see primary source readers. This is your copy of it, and you'll be able to get it from there. So what exactly will the kits be titled? 4th grade, your kit is titled Texas Primary Source Reader Kit. 5th grade, because you span such a large period of time, you actually have 3 different kits. Your first kit is titled Early America, your second kit is titled Expanding and Preserving the Union, and your third kit is titled 20th Century. Also, I need to say this. We also have bilingual Texas kits coming to your campuses. And we're ordering bilingual kits for 5th grade as well. So they aren't there right now, but they are on their way. I'm hoping that all the kits will be here within the next month. So please be on the lookout for these. So now let's look at these materials. Primary source readers will include lesson plans, student reproducibles, a quiz and answer key, and a CD. The CD will include a PowerPoint slide of the reader, primary source overheads, a sources PDF page that gives links to the primary sources, as well as a text version of the story. It has no pictures and it's much shorter, but this is great to send your kids ahead of time or if you want them only to look at one paragraph. What I also like about this is that text version is a Word document, so you'll find that that will be very helpful if you need to move anything around or if you want to go in and edit it.
So teachers, please walk through a lesson with me today. Pretend you're in 4th grade, and this is a primary source readers lesson that will also incorporate the strategies, the explanation game, and what makes you say that. I am going to take you through the lesson plan, and we will debrief along the way. Hi class! Today we are going to become familiar with 2 American Indian tribes in Texas. One is the Caddo and the other is the Comanche. We want to start today by talking about 2 words, nomads and villagers. I know we talked about this in the last unit, so let's review what we already know about nomads and villagers. As a whole class, we are going to complete this T-chart with words and phrases that describe the way of life for each one of these groups. You may want to think, what did each group need to survive? What did they eat? What types of shelter did they build? And what were their main challenges? Facilitator, I will please pause now for a moment, and please have the class brainstorm this together. When you're done, go on ahead and press play. Okay, now that we've reviewed the prior knowledge, we're going to have the students examine some primary sources. In this case, our primary sources are pictures, and we're going to use the explanation game to complete this activity. The purpose of this is a routine for introducing and exploring ideas. Students might already know what they're looking at, but not fully understand it. And this fits well with the cognitive rigor of verbs such as explain, describe, but especially analyze. The assessment for this is that you listen for students' explanations, taking notice of the quality of their theorizing rather than the correctness. Remember, in all of these strategies, it's not whether they got it right or whether they got it wrong. It's so that you can understand what they're thinking about. As you understand their thinking better, you'll be able to adjust, like we said in the beginning of this presentation, and make corrections along the way. For this activity, you need to be in a group of 4 people. Please make your group within 25 seconds. Facilitator, you do not need to pause for this because I'm going to leave a spot so that they can move. On your mark, get set, go. Okay, now that you have moved into your groups, let's start the explanation game. You will see at your desk a sheet of paper that is divided into 4 quadrants. It will say name it, explain it, give reasons, give alternatives, and it has an A and B. You're going to use this to record your answers as we go along. Okay, so let's start the explanation game. You see on the screen 2 objects. The one on the left is object A, and the one on the right is object B. On a piece of paper in the section titled Name It, try to notice as many details about each artifact as possible. Be careful not to make any inferences, just the facts. Write down what you see. You have 48 seconds to do this. You will need to do this. Facilitator, please pause, let them finish this up, and then have them share out their answers. Go. Excellent. Now I want you to complete the box with your group titled Explain It. Begin explaining what you think you saw. What is it? What might it be? You have 1 minute to complete this. Facilitator, once again, you will pause and then give them an opportunity to share out. Go. Now I want you to give the reasons for the thinking that you just did. I want you to give the reasons on what you put down and explain it. Why did you think that? What made you think of what these things were? You have 1 minute and 17 seconds to write down the reasons for your thinking. Once again, facilitator, pause, and then share out. Go. Okay, class, now we're really going to stretch our thinking. In the box marked Give Alternatives, I want you to give other ideas about what these things could be used for. What else could they be? I want you to just put all your ideas out on the table. So you have 1 minute and 5 seconds for this, and we'll follow the same pattern of pausing and then sharing out. Ready, set, go. Great job participating in that class. Now that you've explored the artifacts, which one do you think belongs to a nomadic culture? And which one do you think belongs to a village culture? When I say 3, I want you to tell me the nomadic culture. Ready? Which one, A or B? On your mark, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're going to do this one more time. When I say go, I want you to tell me which one belongs to a village culture, A or B. Ready, set, go. Excellent job. I like the way y'all participated. It's like I'm there with you. Actually, this is a picture of a Caddo vase, which is the village culture, and an animal skin painting, which is the Comanche nomadic culture. Did you get it right? Pat yourself on the back. Great job, students. Let's stop for a moment and debrief the explanation game. I want you to think for 1 minute and 22 seconds about how you could use this in your classroom. Then turn to your shoulder partner and each of you share for 49 seconds what you wrote down and how you could share this. And then we'll have a share out with the class. So facilitator, please pause at this moment and then have them share out. Ready, set, go. Okay, now that we've completed our explanation game, let's do a quick picture walk through the book. Students, look at this picture. Would you think this is a picture of a nomadic culture or of a village culture? Please answer out as a whole class on my signal when I say go. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, well, what makes you say that? Facilitator, please pause for the answer. Here is another picture. Is it of a nomadic culture or of a village culture? Get ready. 1, 2, 3, go. Excellent job. I like how you're responding as a class. Now, what makes you say that? Facilitator, please pause and allow someone to answer what makes them say that. Okay, now we're back to you being teachers. In reality, this would take longer, and I would be holding up the book or putting it on the projector screen, and we would go through the section. But what I want to share with you is that in that quick activity, did you hear the strategy? What makes you say that? What makes you say that is a strong strategy. It requires students to get used to the thinking and develop the habits of mind that will be most helpful to them as they continue on through their education career. You all know you're STAR teachers, and you know that in STAR, it is key that they are able to understand why they've answered what they answered. And so we have to make that pattern of thought something we do all the time. It's so simple. It's just after questions, we just say, what makes you say that? Whether they're right or whether they're wrong, it gives us ideas about where they're going in their brain and allows us to make course corrections for them. So please, you have 1 minute and 14 seconds to talk to your shoulder partner about the strategy. What makes you say that? Facilitator, please pause and share out. Go. Okay, students, welcome back. Now we're going to start reading the book. For this first reading, I'm going to read aloud and you're going to follow me. They honored the sun and moon. They listened to the spirits of animals. They believed the spirits brought healing and power in war. But one day, new people arrived from another land. These strangers believed they had the right to take the land and kill the animals. The Caddo and Comanche were two of the largest American Indian tribes in Texas. These American Indians fought each other. They also made alliances and traded with other tribes. Wait a minute, class. I'm not sure what the word alliances mean. Let me go back and reread and see if I can figure it out. These American Indians fought each other. Okay, they fought each other. They also made alliances and traded with other tribes. Well, that kind of sounds to me like they fought each other, but they also were friends maybe and traded with other tribes. I think that's what it means. So let me go back and reread so that I understand that. These American Indians fought each other. They also made alliances and traded with other tribes. All American Indian tribes honored the earth, but Europeans thought they could own the earth. These new settlers threatened the American Indians' way of life. Okay, so I heard several facts about the Caddo and Comanche and what we read so far. For one, the Caddo and Comanche fought each other. Now, teachers, as the teacher, I would do this in the first read and make sure I point out facts. You can tell I'm trying to figure out context clues. And I would continue this kind of modeling within the first reading. This is really good for kids to get a chance to hear how you think through. You know, this is part of that strategy. I do, we do, then you do. So it's really great for them to do the I do part together. Now, for the second reading, though, they need to read on their own. And what I love about this series is it understands that students need to reread facts again in order to gain an understanding. So for the second reading, we expect students to read on their own. This gives students an opportunity to have heard the text before moving on. One strategy we could use here is to have students reread the books and put different colored sticky notes on facts about the Caddo and facts about the Comanche. So for example, all the Caddo could have pink sticky notes, all the Comanche could have blue. I think this would be a perfect literacy station activity. I would also want to make this TEKS Align. So we need to have them look for evidence of specific things. Don't just ask them to go out and write down anything. We need to direct students towards the things we want to hear about. So you would want to help students focus on what the TEKS say is important. And this also correlates to your ELAR TEKS 4.11b, which says distinguish fact from opinion in text and explain how to verify what a fact is. So as you can tell, this would be a great way to make that connection to ELAR with an ELAR tech and still having them reread for fluency and gaining that information on informational text. Then after reading, there's even a writing activity where a student has to explain which way of life was better and their reasoning behind it. In addition to this, they also have a simulation activity that gets them up and moving where, well, it's not really a simulation, but what it is that you get them up and moving and you kind of do a fact check. So you want to make sure that they've really gotten the points from the reading that you wanted them to get. So you come up with facts that you think are important throughout the reading, and then you call them out. And you have 3 signs across your room. And one says Caddo, one says Comanche, one says both. And you make the students move to that section of the room when you read the fact. So it gives you a great visual on what they took out of the reading. It's just a quick way to check for understanding and to do those things that they talked about on that video. How can you visually check for understanding and then adjust whether you need to go back in or not? In addition to that, this series also has a quiz you can give them when they complete the reading for you. Okay, as you can tell, this lesson has a lot of parts. But the key here is to know all of this is at your disposal. But just like this cat, you cannot fit in a box. You have to do what works best for your students. And we absolutely want you to use this the way you best see fit. You don't have a whole lot of time, so you may not be able to do everything that we went through, but pick and choose the pieces. You know, if they start getting experience with these types of activities, little pieces of them in each lesson, you will be surprised at how far they will go. So take a minute and 17 seconds. Please talk to your shoulder partner about how you can use this in your classroom. Facilitator, please pause and share out. Go. Okay, so going back to the beginning, when we use a planning for learning approach, which includes Eduphoria, our resources, and amazing thinking strategies, such as the explanation game and what makes you say that, this all leads to excellent Tier 1 instruction, which gives us the graduates we are proud of. Now, you might be asking me, April, is there anything else I should know before I start this school year? Well, there is. Our district has purchased MAPS 101 for the entire district. Yay! This is a resource that has maps according to content, such as U.S. history. It has bilingual maps. It has K2 maps, as well as videos and lesson plans. And 4th grade, it has Texas maps, too. Also, these maps can be printed into PDF files, and each student can have a copy of what you're working with on the projector. Now, these are instead of the pull-down maps. As you know, we would spend the same amount of money for a pull-down map that just gives you one map, and that quite frequently, with the way the world changes nowadays, is obsolete within a very short amount of time. So this is a great opportunity for you to put something up there that is ever changing. We have this for the next 3 years. Let me tell you, you can find your username and password under yearly content documents and district instructional resources. They're very easy usernames and passwords. I'll give you an example. Birdville Elementary's is Birdville 101, and the password is MAPS. Also, because we have a site license, you are able to share this with parents and they can get on at home since this is a web resource. So let's say you have a student doing a project at home. You could tell them, go on ahead, log on to www.maps101.com, give them the password, they'd be able to use it too. I really think you're going to find it very useful. If you need any help with any of these, please just let me know. In addition to that, our legislator has made some decisions about the winter holidays. Now, I know that winter holidays are not covered in your TEKS, but it's still important that you're aware of what this means. Students and staff are now permitted to offer greetings regarding the celebrations, including Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and Happy Holidays. Religious symbols may be included in a display as long as more than one religion is represented or one religion and one secular scene are both displayed. What this means is that you need to be careful and make sure that you are displaying more than one religion and or one religious scene and a secular scene at a time. For example, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is secular, so you could display Rudolph and the menorah, but you could not just display the nativity scene. I know that in 4th and 5th grade, you are so busy trying to get through your curriculum that you don't typically stop to teach on this, but you just need to be aware of it because I know a lot of us do decorate for the holidays and you want to make sure you're doing everything correct. Okay, so this year, I know one of the concerns has been how to teach social studies in the 30 minutes of direct teach time that you have been allotted. The curriculum writers have worked hard this summer to find ways to integrate some additional time into a literacy station that would also hit correlating ELAR TEKS. For example, you may be able to do 30 minutes of direct teach social studies time and then pick up an extra 15 minutes as a literacy station. We have used the Debbie Diller Literacy Workstation model and created lesson plans that do this for you. At this point, we have created 2 lessons per 6 weeks per grade level, and the first 6 weeks lesson plans are already loaded and ready to go for you. They are attached to the clarifying documents. In addition to this, I want you to hear something 4th and 5th grade. We have chosen which TEKS to talk about and which ones to do these lesson plan with literacy stations from the CBAs that you took last year. What I did was I broke down your CBA data and I looked at the areas where we scored low as a district. And so we've tried to use those areas to build in new lessons. My goal is that when we test over the exact same TEKS this next time around, you will now have lesson plans that go with them. I've tried to add to your curriculum and that we will see better grades. So I just want to let you know that because I know a lot of times you think, what do they do with those CBAs anyway? They say it's for curriculum writing, but what is it for? Well, I'll tell you. We use that information to build lesson plan ideas. So I think that's a really good use for it, and I'm excited about y'all getting in and looking at this. Here is an example of what this lesson plan will look like. You will see that we attached an assessment idea, vocabulary, a lesson, and ways you can create a literacy station with a corresponding TEK. 4th and 5th grade. Like I said, many of these were built after curriculum writers analyzed the results of your CBA tests. So make sure you look at these. You may want to take a great look at this, because I'm hoping that when we retest, we'll see better scores. I also think you'll find this document really useful as you work in your PLC to plan. If on your own you develop any of these, please send them my way. I'm happy to attach them. And anything that you have, I'm happy to give use to all the teachers in the district. What I also like about these documents is you'll see that we have a TEK, but we also have a process skill, and we have the ELAR TEKs written out for you. So they're really no-brainers, and I hope there's something that you enjoy. Okay, now I know we've had a lot of information covered in this session. Please take 4 sticky notes, and on each one, answer the following question. On the first one, put an E at the top and write down what excites you about what you heard today. On the second one, put a W and let me know what you are still worried about. On the third sticky note, put an N and let me know what else you need to know. And on the last one, put an S and tell me what your next steps forward are in thinking about teaching social studies this year. Please place all of your stickies on the chart paper in the room, and I'm going to collect these and use this information to see what my next steps are as a content coordinator. Facilitator, please pause to allow them to do this. Thank you. In closing, I would like to end with a quote I have in my office. And I've included the picture of the quote in my office here on this slide. I want to let you know that I believe you are the heroic educators we heard about yesterday at Convocation. I know the job you do is enormous, and I want you to know I'm here to support you in any way possible. I hope you have a wonderful first week of school, and I know you will have a successful 2013-2014 school year. Here goes. 100 years from now, it will not matter what kind of car I drove, what kind of house I lived in, how much money I had in the bank. But the world may be a better place because I made a difference in the life of a child. Thank you and have a great day.